Hi there, this is Noah with the ERS Training Department. This is going to be a video tutorial on users and user groups. Let's get started by going to Admin, General Config, Users. And let's go ahead and click here to add a new one. And let's imagine we've hired an SEO consultant. We'd like to give them access to the system, but we don't want them to have access to all of the financials and customer data. We're going to restrict their access using groups, and we'll do that in just a moment, but first let's fill out the basic information here. Now the only requirement for the password is that it be at least 3 characters, but we do recommend a strong password. And by the way, you do have to have a first name specified for a user if you'd like to be able to assign them to a truck in routing. I'm not going to bother specifying a mobile carrier for Jerry because we're not going to send him any text messages through the system. However, I do need to assign Jerry to a group, and this is very important. Every user profile in the ERS system must be assigned to a group. If you do not assign the user to a group, they are not going to be able to log into either the back end of the system or the driver app. In fact, that's the most common issue that people have when trying to log into the driver app. So if an employee ever tells you that they're having trouble logging into the app, double check that they've been assigned to a group, and if they haven't, that is almost certainly the reason why they're having problems. So again, I need to assign Jerry to a group, and none of these groups has the correct permission level, so let's go ahead and click here to edit our groups, and let's add a new one. I'm going to call this SEO Consultants. Now I'm going to go ahead and make our SEO Consultants a level 10, which is the same level as the administrators. However, I don't want my SEO Consultants to have full access like my administrators. So I'm going to restrict my SEO Consultants' access by using the Disallow field. And in the Disallow field, we can write the titles of any of the tabs up in the top menu or the submenu headers below them to disallow access to any of those areas. We just need to make sure to match spelling and capitalization exactly as they appear here. So I don't want my SEO consultants to be able to see reports or customer or order data. So I'm going to disallow scheduling, the CRM, reports, general config, order config, and rules. All right, now that I've gotten that set up the way I want, I'm going to go ahead and submit, and I'm going to choose this level for this particular user. Now the only other thing I need to do here is to specify a timeout in minutes. For security purposes, I want Jerry to be logged out of the system after 10 minutes of inactivity. So now that Jerry's user profile is set up the way I want it to, I'm going to go ahead and submit. All right, and there he is in our list of users. Let's go ahead and log out and see what Jerry's going to see when he logs in. So first, Jerry will be prompted to read and agree to the end user license agreement. And we can see that the reports don't show up in the body of the Home tab or in the navigation menu up top, and the CRM and scheduling also don't show up. And if we click into Admin, we only see Documents, Products, and Website. So this is working properly. I'm going to go ahead and log back in as an administrator again. And I'd like to create a new class of managers that doesn't have quite access to everything that the regular managers have access to. So let's go ahead and go back into Admin, General Config, Users. And let's add a new user. And once again, let's go ahead and fill out the basic information. Now in this case, I am going to specify a mobile carrier because it's conceivable that I might want to send this employee a text message or two through the system at some point. So once again, we need to edit our groups. And I'm going to go ahead and create a new group. And we're going to call this group our Warehouse Managers. And we're going to actually make it a subgroup of the managers. Now what that means is that this group will never have more permissions than its parent group. Managers are typically level 8, so I'm going to go ahead and leave that as is. And the difference between levels 8 and 10 are that level 8s also have access to everything except for price rules, availability rule sets, and adjustments, like tax and that sort of thing. So administrators are level 10 by default, managers are level 8, employees are level 4 by default, which gives them the ability to schedule, print routes, and search for customers. A basic employee at level 4 does not have permission to change pricing and add fees and that sort of thing. If you'd like to have a slightly higher permission level for a given employee or set of employees, and you'd like to allow them to change pricing and add fees and that sort of thing, but you don't want to give them full manager level permissions, you can use level 5 for that. Drivers are level 1 by default, which gives them access to the routing and the load sheets only for the events that you have assigned to them, and they can do some basic scheduling functions, including searching for events and canceling them. They can't make changes to pricing within orders, but they can add items and delete items and that sort of thing. And critically, they can use the driver app to pull up the contract for the event to have the customer sign the contract digitally at the event if the customer hasn't already signed ahead of time through the link in their automated receipt email. And they can take and record payments in the mobile app as well. So again, with my warehouse managers, they're going to be a subgroup of my regular managers. I'm going to leave them at level 8. However, I don't want these particular managers to be able to see financials, so I'm going to disallow reports. And we're good to go here, so I'm going to go ahead and submit. And going to choose that group. And since this is a regular employee and not an outside SEO consultant, it might make sense for us to input some of the advanced information in here, such as pay rate, driver's license number, insurance information, notes, etc. Driver's license number, insurance, and notes are pretty self-explanatory. Pay rate refers to the hourly pay rate if it's an hourly employee. And friendly reminder that our driver app does support clocking in and out. And we have an employee time card report that uses that data. There's also a mileage report, which will tell you how many miles each of your drivers has driven and how much you owe them for their per mile rate. And driver pay information also auto-populates to the load sheets for the drivers. Incidentally, you can also specify a pay rate for specific items in the item itself at Admin Products Items. And if you do, that will override any hourly pay rate that you have specified for an employee. EULA, or EULA, refers to End User License Agreement. So whenever the user has read and agreed to the EULA, there will be a timestamp with the date and time that they did so in that field. Language, of course, allows this particular user to use a different language when they're logged in. And timeout in minutes is just like the other user that we created. It's going to log the user out of the system after that many minutes of inactivity. User PIN is only supported by the point-of-sale cash register system. It's a way of having your cashiers and other employees sign into the cash register app. So unless you're using our cash register on-site point-of-sale system, you can leave user PIN blank. So this all looks good. I'm going to go ahead and submit. So that about does it for this tutorial. I hope this was helpful. As always, anytime you're working in the system and you have questions, the knowledge base is your good friend. And you can also access the knowledge base by clicking here on the floating help icon. And of course, the tech support department will be happy to help as well. And you can reach them at 505-435-9731, extension 102, or support@eventrentalsystems.com. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.